Good day, everyone. It's fantastic to see so many of you joining us for today's session, where we'll be discussing how Cloud ERP solutions are streamlining manufacturing processes, supporting digital transformation, and driving efficiency across operations. My name is Alexia, and I'm representing Connect Global Group. Today's webinar is made possible thanks to our esteemed partners at Azentio, and we couldn't be more grateful for their support. Now, before we begin, I'd like to quickly cover some essential housekeeping points. You'll find a range of interactive widgets at the bottom of your screen, so feel free to customize them to suit your viewing needs. If you have any questions during this session, please send them through at any time. If time runs short, don't worry, we'll follow up with you afterward via email. Also, keep an eye out for the webinar recording, which will be sent to you shortly via email after the event concludes. Now, without any further ado, let me hand things over to our moderator. Rajesh, over to you.
Thank you, Alexia. Good day to everyone, and thank you all for joining us in this exciting webinar on streamlining manufacturing, driving strategies towards efficiency, quality, automation, and compliance. Today, we are bringing in together some of the best minds in the industry to share their insights on how modern manufacturing strategies are evolving to meet the demands of today's fast-paced, complex market conditions. From automation to compliance, we will explore how businesses are navigating these challenges and optimizing their processes to meet the market conditions. Myself, Rajesh Kumar, I'm the ERP product management head in Azentio, and I have spent over 2 decades in the enterprise solution space, working alongside with manufacturers and other industries as well, to bring innovative technology solutions to life. It's truly an honor to be moderating this discussion today. Without much of delay, let me allow the esteemed panelists to introduce themselves for today's discussion. Yeah, you can start introducing. Maybe we can start with Prapti.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure for me to be out here amongst the esteemed panelists. Myself, Prapti, responsible for the quality, process development, and the sustainability function at Barakat. Been in the industry for about 19 years now, with a total complete experience with pharmaceutical and food. My forte has been into quality. As a role, I think it's been challenging because we handle perishables. So what better than a topic of today? I look forward for an exciting panel discussion ahead.
Excellent. Welcome, Prapti. Tiago.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I work 18 years in the FMCG industry, more specifically in the food industry. I'm currently head of procurement for Americana Foods, one of the largest food processors in the Middle East. And thank you again for this discussion. I'm looking forward to have a great discussion here.
Welcome, Tiago. Jagan?
Yeah. Thanks for having me here. I'm Jagan. I'm heading the global pre-sales and solution for Azentio software. I have more than 2 decades of experience in product consulting, process optimization, and product management. We are currently focused on delivering tangible solutions through implementation of Cloud ERP to our enterprise customers and who can acquire new business capabilities. So I will be happy to be here part of the panel.
Welcome, Jagan. Hi, Ali. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, Rajesh. How are you? My name is Ali Awadallah. I am the Group CFO in Middle East Specialized Cable. Abbreviation is MESC. Previously, I was working in dairy industry for Al Safi Danone for 19 years and Nadic for 6 years. Then after I joined Baja Food Industry, which is the market leader in nuts and coffee in Saudi Arabia. Then after I joined Al Sathan Super and Hypermarket as a Group CFO as well.
Okay. Welcome, Ali. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And let's move on to the core section of the webinar. And I have few important pressing challenges of the industry, and I would have panelists share their views from their experience. And let me start with compliance. Streaming compliance and industry regulations are, core of your operations. And what are some of the specific compliance challenges for process manufacturing organizations like you are from the industries that you are from? And how important is it seamless integration compliance is to track for a well-planned operation? If Tiago, you can share your views on this from your perspective.
Sure, of course. So as I said, I come from the food and protein manufacturing industry side, right? So it is known by a very, how can I say, stringent regulatory requirements. For instance, some of the compliance challenge that we have is, we can mention food safety standards. That of course we are dealing with food. We have a lot of standards to meet in the production. Why not to say to manage these ever-changing global trade regulations, because one day a country is allowed to export to another country, and then another day it gets banned, and then suddenly another country makes another agreement with the country, reducing duties, reducing taxes, and of course from the procurement side that I'm here, we need to be aware what's happening to get benefit of these transactions, but also to ensure the compliance. That is the main topic here. And why not to mention the specific market requirements that we have? Just to give a quick example, for food production in Saudi, we have SFNDA regulating the import permits. What are the standards that the companies that are exporting to Saudi needs to meet? And it comes since from documents, regulatory bodies in the country of origin, till the traceability, the production process, and etc. And just to conclude, the seamless integration, especially in these industries, is critical, right? Because we need to ensure that we have all this data available from the raw material, the production process, till the production distribution, the final product distribution that we have with us, to be ready for any audit, any certification process, and even for customers. We have some customers that also requires this data. It's not only the country that's requiring the data to allow to produce there. So to ensure that we are reducing risks, protecting brand reputation, and also, and why not building the customer trust. So that's it from my side.
I really understand that, Tiago. It must be very challenging, considering the type of countries you deal with and the regulations from those destination countries, as well as the country from where you are exporting and things like that. So you must be having a completely challenging regulations across. And also traceability is one of the key stuff which you mentioned. So it is something which generally a process manufacturing organization like yours will always want to trace from the beginning of the product, raw material, till the finished good, wherever it lands, in whichever country it lands. It's a very challenging. Yeah. And another important thing to talk about, relating to the inventory losses, that hugely has an impact on profitability. And if you can highlight some of the key challenges with inventory management and how important in your industry, minimizing the wastage, pilferage in your operations. Prapti, I'm sure you will be handling most of these things in your organization. Can you throw some light on that, Prapti?
Thank you for the question. I think as I come from a perishable industry with a short 3-day shelf life product with no additives, no preservative, this is one of the key challenges what we face in terms of execution of our product. What we've seen, I think as industries, we've been recovering post the COVID, but what is something what we didn't anticipate now was the supply chain challenge, right? And today, as we all speak, today we are sitting with a big challenge with the Red Sea impact. So it's just not the Yes, inventory is a key stake, but in terms of supply chain, to ensure that the product is delivered at the right state is a bigger question. So if I have to give you in terms of example, a pineapple which used to take a transit time from Philippines to the UAE, which used to travel but within a 28-day travel period, is now traveling almost close to about 32 to 40 days. So pineapple, by the time it reaches us itself, is already turned into pineapple juice. So that's a bigger challenge. So again, this is directly proportional to the shelf life of the product, in turn leading to yield loss as well as wastages. So inventory management has become a bigger struggle post the Red Sea challenge, and in turn impacting on supply chain too. So the bigger measure what we as manufacturers are taking is trying and diverting as a key aspect into sustainability, trying and seeing what is it what we can localize by having less dependency on imported produce, and trying and seeing what is local. So there are two aspects to it when we come to inventory management is, yes, we do have lesser wastages because you have a better yield when we're talking about something grown closer to the vicinity. You have a better fresher produce when as against something which has already traveled kilometers away before it reaches your vicinity. And as another aspect, what we're working on is in terms of demand forecasting. Before, as manufacturers or traders, we did kind of take in risk by having that 10x more availability of inventory and making sure that, yes, at any given point of time, it did move. But now, there has been a clear mind shift change in terms of demand planning and forecasting, where everybody doesn't want to kind of take in that risk where they would land up having heavy inventory stocks, in turn landing to have in wastages, and minimize their stock buildup and ensure that the stock, whichever is retained, is as per the shelf life. I think these are the two key factors what every manufacturer or trader is trying to look at, is a clear change in thought process of what we can get in from a closer vicinity of not depending on an imported produce, as well as having a clear plan on their demand forecasting versus the output.
Yeah, very true, Prapti. Like what Tiago said about food safety and the example which you talked about pineapple, we can't even reutilize the one after having imported such a long distance after so many days. And that leads
absolutely.
to a big
And
problem
I think I would just add on to what Mr. Tiago said. I think from a regulatory perspective, another big key challenge is in terms of harmonization between the different countries, right? So as a country, we deal with import and export between various countries. But until and unless, so obviously as regulation, it's not harmonized among all the different countries. So which leads to duplication of inventory, duplication of packaging material. So that's another key challenge what we as manufacturers deal with because of the harmonization aspect.
Okay. And also it complicates the regulatory documentation and other things as well, since it is not harmonized. It has to be like as per the needs of the country, regulations of that country. So that leads to an important aspect, product quality, which is very critical in manufacturing, as you both highlighted. In your opinion, what do you do to maintain a flawless quality control? And what are the key metrics that you actually track?
As a key metrics, I think as food, it goes without saying it's a mandatory requirement that we have to follow a certain set of standard. It cannot just go by without a certain procedure. So today, talking about industries, every food industry is either FSSC certified, ISO 9001 certified, or BRC certified, or an IFS certified, which is important for making sure it's just not about running of the manufacturing industry, but to ensure at the end the product which is delivered meets the consumer demand, and as well as ensures food safety at the end, which is the end goal objective. I think there are key deliverables which is mandatory, along with the HACCP requirements, which is the basic requirement in any food safety industry. The key metrics, what we as an industry, which is important as food, we're talking about the customer complaint index, where each of your customer complaint is taken into consideration, and a root cause is being interpreted and a corrective measure is being taken. It's just not interpreting a customer complaint, but deriving at a root cause, but how satisfied are we making sure that a customer complaint is closed. So even in terms of the resolution time is something what we track. The second or the key important factor is the yield factor. Yield is a very important perspective when we are talking about perishable produce. So perishable products. So today, if I am going to get a product which may be of a little better commercial value, would I be buying that? But no. Today, I look at country of origins which give me a better yield, which would ensure saying that it tick boxes all my quality parameters. Third and key most factor where I would be talking about is employee training and engagement. Because at the end, we say happy people make happy products, right? So it's training, and training, which is a very important factor, because with food, a certain SOP can be stated or, even put forth. But until and unless the person responsible for the same is executing as per the guidelines, the end result would not be achieved. So I think employee training and engagement is a key parameter, which is also, which has to be followed. And then over and above that, we say, okay, we have a standard, we have trained the employee, but what is it that we are going to monitor the system? So continuous improvement and an internal audit procedure where we're tracking compliance to this is a key parameter. I think this summarizes overall from a quality aspect. One is the implementation of the standard, one is employee training and engagement, and then is the verification procedure where we're talking about audit compliance.
Correct. Very true. When you say that it all boils down to the process that you follow meticulously, and then when there is an issue or a complaint, what is the corrective action and the preventive action that you take, and then put it back into the process and ensure it's going on. What is your...
It's more about, all this leads to consumer satisfaction and in turn leading to the brand uplift. So I think it's more of all this put together leading to one common objective, which is consumer satisfaction.
Very true. What's your take on this, Tiago?
Trying to contribute here with the procurement process, or with the other perspective from the inbound process, let's say. I would say that the quality controls start from the very beginning, right? Since you try to qualify a supplier, we have a set of documents, as we said, about the compliance, tracking, etc., but also doing samples, trials, first batch productions, and etc., ensuring that the supply or the items that we are buying will match with the product specification that we have, and of course with the quality standards that we are trying to deliver to our customers. And again, with the procurement perspective, I would say that the key metric is that we usually track, at least in my experience, is this first quality checking, that if the first batch is running well, if it met the specification, and of course, collaborative quality controls, R&D, etc., to make sure that we are meeting the specifications. The defect rates, so when the business starts as usual, let's say, we have defect rates according to the shipments that we use to receive. Also, what Prapti said, the compliant resolution time we have with the customer, but also we have the supplier. So making sure that they have action plans to deliver any thing that we discuss regarding the quality and etc. And why not referring again to the compliance with certifications, because many of these certifications it gets expired and need to be renewed and etc. So we need to ensure that the suppliers have the compliance with the certification with dates to make sure that they are compliant with this deck of requirements that we have.
Yeah, yeah, Thiago. As I hear from you, you become an important pillar in the supply chain, connecting the suppliers and the customers in terms of their
Yes, sir.
specification of the products that are required on both the sides and dealing with the regulations as well. Okay. Ali, why don't you share your views on how inventory losses are impacting profitability from a financial point of view? You must have your views, definitely.
Yeah, okay. The inventory is one of the key factors that each and every company has to manage the right level of inventory in order to reduce the losses. And the very key line that each and every company has to work on is the forecast accuracy of the sales. In order to have the right material requirement planning, then the inventory movement should be in a very decent manner. Inventory losses contain a lot of things. Either you have obsolete items that you have procured that you don't need, so you get a losses from the wrong forecast. Then the inventory movement, if it is in a wrong place, definitely you are going to have losses. On the production line, if you reduce the wastage, if you manage the wastage in a very good manner, if you have the right bill of material on the place, you are going to reduce your losses a lot. The material requirement plan is basically depend on the right bill of material. If you have a wrong bill of material that you put extra quantity that you need to produce, definitely you are going to land on obsolete inventory, very high level of inventory. So any mistake of these processes will lead to the inventory. If we club together all the factors that I have mentioned, like the bill of material, the sales forecast accuracy, the movement of the inventory itself, the production wastage and losses, if we manage all these elements in a perfect way, definitely we are going to reduce the inventory losses big time.
Great. That's something which you must be handling in your business on a day-to-day basis. That's why you are bang on to that particular specific point. Let me move on to the product portfolio. Managing product lines are really complex, the bill of material that you talked about and other things. And what are some of the effective ways that you all handle in the product management, and how do you ensure stakeholders are aligned? Jagan, if you can highlight some of the key aspects in this regard, it would be good.
Yeah, thanks, Rajesh. Okay. So the general perception in the industry is that when you have diverse products, it gives you a very competitive edge and results in increased sales. That's kind of that's spread across multiple industries. You and me are aware of it. The sales team needs more variations, more pricing. And that puts a lot of pressure on the production side as well as the supply chain side. But if you look at the industry data, so there is a considerable increase in new products in the last decade. The rate of increase of new products into the market is around close to 40 to 50%. But actually, if you look at the sales, it's not increased in the same scale. On top of this, when you have a diverse portfolio, it increases the risks of low equipment efficiencies because a lot of switching up and down happens. Then the COGS increases. And obviously, the low fill rates becomes low because every product doesn't have the same kind of volume of scale. And it also increases the marketing overheads across the board because you need to market multiple products and those kind of scenarios to be taken care of. So if you look at it, it affects every department in terms of cost, maintenance, manufacturing, production, supply chain. But this also creates a demand variability, right? When you with the advent of online commerce, you're aware, right? Even a $1 or $1,000 orders you're buying in the online, you have an option to personalize the order. So that is something that's putting a more pressure on the supply chain team. So every order is a personalized order. So these are some of the challenges this industry is facing. The practical way to address it, based on my experience working with a lot of organizations, is measure your margins with the cost per SKU across your process chain. The cost traceability should include your raw material sourcing cost, the inventory handling cost, the processing cost, packaging cost, and the delivery cost of the item. And we generally term this as a cost to serve. What is a cost to serve for an item to a customer? So that some margin if you measure accurately, some systems gives you on a click of a button such data, because you have all these SCM and product and sales data in one system. So you'll be able to get this information. And this will help you to understand which SKU is really making money, where the margins are high, where the margins are less. And then obviously everybody can come to a common conclusion, this less can be more. So that's something is what practical solution that I have seen it, or I work with a lot of customers that have realized it. So typically, to refer a case study, one of the FMCG manufacturers had multiple SKUs, and the same product with different size and diameters. It's a cookie manufacturer. Having one extra diameters of the same product was increasing 60% of this complexity in the manufacturing. Like the same product, same thing, the diameter is more, then the whole specification changes and everything. It complicates the entire process. So they brought back the supply chain data and the market sales data, and they were able to reduce the SKU by 15%, which obviously reduced the COGS by 4% without affecting the sales, because the customer were more relying on the brand than the size of the cookie. So these are some insights we could able to work with customers and their consultants. The second approach is you have a delayed differentiation concept, where you delay the differentiating factor of the product till the last minute in your production cycle or a supply chain cycle. So you react to the demand. So you don't finish the product everything. So you see the differentiation in the last stage, and then you typically add the attributes in the last stage and according to the region you are operating, to you react to the demand. So that is another way of strategy that certain industry are handling, especially online commerce industry. And having an accurate product lifecycle management system. So where you see the product scaling up and then it's dying out, phasing out the SKUs, not continuing these items over a period of time, but also will help you to have a much more absolute control on your product diversity without losing your sale, and aligning the entire stakeholders from all departments. That's my view, Rajesh, on this.
Yeah, very true, very true. You are bang on. Your customization on your products has become order of the day, and no more manufacturing is about manufacturing the same product over and again. So customers demand the same product in a slightly different fashion, and delayed differentiation could definitely help there. I really appreciate sharing your insights. And moving on, one of the key factor or strategy which earlier Tiago and Prapti was touching upon is accurate forecasting and delivering on promises are very much essential for customer satisfaction. And what are the key challenges in aligning production with quality assurance? And I'm sure all of you must have viewpoints on this from your industries. Let's start with Ali. Ali, why don't you share your thoughts on this area?
The alignment between the production and the quality assurance.
Yes.
Is it quality assurance or quality control?
Yeah, you can. Some of them have it on the quality control as well. So basically, various departments who are involved in that. Quality control will be the appropriate one in the manufacturing
industry. Yeah, exactly. So yes. The quality control is the key department responsible for releasing the product for being consumed by the end customers. So it is always required to have synchronized between the quality control and the production. Quality control cannot release any batch that has been produced by the production team unless it is conformed for the people consumption. So here, I guess the production team should adhere to all the measures required by the quality control in order to produce the product. The hygiene should be available on all the production line, the adherence of all labors from the lowest level to the highest level. So I remembered very well when I was in a dairy company, when I entered to the manufacturing, to the plant, I have to address a certain form. I have to cover my ear, my hair, I have to cover my hands. Everything should be covered, well covered, the mask on the mouth. All these are the requirement by the quality control. So the production team should adhere to these measures, the right measure that has been addressed by the quality control in order to assure the product that is going to be produced is conformed for the consumption.
Correct. And also, what challenges you face in terms of forecasting from sales team to production team? Do you face challenges in this?
Of course, this is the key part where we are having always a challenging. It's a conflict of interest. Sales team want to show that they are going to do very well and they increase the forecast, while supply chain team will be responsible for the material that they are going to procure to respond to the sales demand. So it is always, there is a conflict of interest between supply chain, sales, the production team. They cannot produce the quantity that sales is asking for. But there is something called in this industry, something called the baseline and the wishes. Sales team is having their own wishes, and these wishes cannot be responded by the production team or by the supply chain team due to the cash availability in the company to procure the material. Then we land on a realistic number that the market can respond to this sales forecast. The production can respond to the sales forecast. The supply chain having the enough storage for this material, they can cover these all requirements. So it's always challenging, but at the end of the day, all these departments should have a realistic, I would say, a realistic target, either to sell or to produce or to procure. So it is always a challenging process, honestly speaking.
Correct. And it becomes a strategic team's responsibility to align all these teams and, perform better. And what are your views on this, Prapti?
And to me, the history is the only reference that we can rely on. If the history say that I'm selling 1 billion this year, I cannot accept that the sales team comes to me saying that we can sell 1.5 billion while the market doesn't grow 50%. The market grow only 10%, 15%. Based on my market share in this market, I can endorse the forecast or I can reduce it or I increase it. Sometimes we increase the sales forecast and we force sales team to reach this target.
Right. You're right.
Completely agree with what Mr. Ali said, and adding on to some more points of what in turn, is a challenge in terms of meeting customer expectation, especially aligning with the production and the quality. So we are all sitting in a market which is very unpredictable. Today, you have your low highs of production versus the lows of production. I think balancing speed with quality. So today, production has a certain demand to be met. So in turn, they are pressurized by the sales to ensure that the certain output is met, which in turn leads to a lot of compromise in quality. Rushing production often leads to errors, inadequate inspections, or cutting corners, or leading into shortcuts for a certain process flow, which happens at times, in turn leading to a customer complaint and leading to a dissatisfied customer. And again, I think post-COVID, it's been a lot of unprecedented times where we are all sitting in a region where, we have a lot of supply chain variability. So this plays a crucial role in turn leading to a lot of delays, shortages, as well as unavailability. So production in turn lands up having a factor saying that, can I use an X raw material, though it would be approved, to make sure that it's used into the production cycle, leading into a lot of issues in the upstream, leading to disruptions in the production schedule, as well as maybe a compromise on the quality control aspect. And again, coming into an example post the COVID, I think all of us across the management chain have started following an aspect of having a very lean resource strength, like obviously before we used to work with the 10% over and above buffer where we all had the liberty saying, okay, if there is a resource shortage out here, maybe we kind of utilize them in this. But all of us, I think, across institutions has started using a lean structure across the value chain. This limited production capacity leading to resource constraints. So at times when there is an increased demand requirement, all we as manufacturing companies land up having outsourced. But output from an outsourced manufacturing staffing strength leads to a lot of compromise in quality. So I think I would bucket it under three major challenges. One is the balancing speed with quality, supply chain variability, and the resource constraint leading to capacity planning challenges.
Exactly. Efficient planning is essential for smooth operations. And some of the areas that you highlighted, the lean inventory management and other things, definitely you will face some of the specific bottlenecks in material and production planning, isn't it? So this can be a potential lead to a scenario where there could be bottlenecks in the planning cycle, and actually when the production happens, there could be issues. So have you kind of faced this in your areas, Sally? What are the some bottlenecks that you face in your materials and production planning cycles, and how do you
It's
balance
always the
it?
bottleneck, always the bottleneck available on the production lines. And we don't have any problem procuring the material. We don't have
Right.
any problem to set a very good target in sales. Always a bottleneck in the production line. And the only solution for that is to confirm that this bottleneck will continue for a long period of time in order to take an investment decision by adding a production line that will eliminate this bottlenecks. So bottlenecks is always there. And the only solution to remove the bottleneck is to invest and to inject extra production lines.
Cool. And Tiago, how do you see this from your perspective? Because you're into procurement, and how do you balance this out?
Yeah, for procurement bottlenecks, I would mention two main topics here: raw material availability, to not to contradict Mr. Ali, but to say sometimes we don't have a accurate sales forecast, and it comes to production and etc. At the end, we need to purchase, right? And to purchase suddenly some materials, it's almost impossible. If you talk some materials that raw materials that we import with 2 months of lead time, even 3 months, according to the requirement, the specification that we have, it's impossible. So raw material availability, it's a big issue, a big bottleneck for us. And not only availability as the word says, but we need to think about availability, about seasonality. For instance, if you are buying, let's say, vegetables, fruits, and etc. Geopolitical factors, probably mentioned Red Sea crisis that we had, that was a big issue in the beginning of the year. Still, we have this issue, right? In the poultry or protein side, animal diseases that can reduce production or even ban some countries, as we had this year. So we cannot have this raw material. So what we have to do now? We cannot purchase from this country anymore. I have to purchase from another one. And the lead time increased 1 more month. So what do you do? So for sure, to summarize, raw material availability, and why not? we are discussing this demand volatility, right? Because if your demand is changing every cycle, let's say, you will never fulfill the requirements that we have internally. So for me, these two main topics.
Yeah, it's everyday's challenge. That's what I understand, Tiago.
You're right, Tiago. Thank you very much.
And moving on to some of the automations, definitely manufacturing industry is going through a lot of transition and transformation. And, we see like gone are those days where, one of the spares is got into a problem today, and then the plant is having a stoppage. So now there is predictive maintenance in a major level with automation, and we are able to predict when the spare is going to actually fail, or when it is going to be replaced exactly. And how significantly is this manufacturing automations or workflow automations, and what are these automations bringing onto the table for manufacturing industry? Jagan, I'm sure you must be working on a lot of automations. Why don't you share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, definitely, Rajesh. The buzzword is now automations and AI, ML even, and the AI is being used everywhere, starting from any kind of products. So ideally, IoT sensors and connected device are the forefront of predictive maintenance. Okay, it's a very simple. You're connecting your shop floor with your business floor. So in olden days, there is somebody, a plant manager walks down the aisle, understands what is happening in the plant, and then realizes something is wrong. So that is now getting sensed every day, every minute, every hour using sensors and equipment. That's a basic setup that needs every manufacturing floor needs it. So this powers the automated workflows, triggering alerts and scheduling and maintenance. Even sometimes you can automatically place an order for replacement of spares and items when before a failure even occurs. That's how the connected system works. So especially in heavy machinery industries like automotive, and AI and machine learning tools are embedded inside the solution, inside the equipments. So it can forecast maintenance needs more accurately in a real-time basis. By analyzing the historical data on operational patterns, they can predict potential equipment failures, which can automatically trigger a request to the maintenance team to do or take an action immediately. Or it can be an alert which can be passed on to the through on mobile, through an email, or to any other notification systems. So I've seen in a very practical way, a simple deduction, like for example, an equipment is running and some kind of abnormalities, like the speed in which the equipment is running, it is abnormal, or the vibration is slightly more in an equipment, or an operating temperature increases drastically, and which cannot be felt before something goes wrong. Now, these kind of rudimentary things can be avoided by putting a sensor, and then sensor alerts somebody saying there is an abnormalities in the normal operating environment. So there are cases where the service engineer gets an alert even before the operator who's in front of the machine comes to know there is a problem. So that's the kind of prediction the systems are available now. And take an example, visual quality control, which is now becoming a very prominent. Like you can see minute defects in an equipment, in a finished product. Either, Thiago was talking about traceability and quality control related things, and Prapti was also mentioning it. So now this can detect like any abnormalities in the product at the time of, you don't need a physical QC. The visual QC can detect and then automatically route the product for a quality check in the production line. And that can also create an alert. Yeah. So this is something we are more and more seeing. This is a very quick win, a low hanging fruits that can be enabled by any organization, so that in a lower level automation can be achieved here by this. This extension of this is the workflow automation can also intelligently schedule. Okay, this task has to go to this particular person who has the capability to solve the problem, because Prapti raised it, a resource, we are working on a lean resource model. So you don't have abandoned people always available to fix an issue. So there is a team is very lean. Then you can automatically schedule these tasks to specific specialized person who can handle that without anybody. Then the earlier stages, you get a task, the plant manager or maintenance manager then allocates this to somebody. So that process is getting eliminated. The system can automatically know this is the service engineer, he's the profile, and this issue, he will look into it. So when there's a problem, automatically it can route to that particular service engineer. So this reduces the decision making in the whole process. So basically, the summary is automating predictive maintenance workflows completely reduces the manual monitoring and practically takes the guesswork out of the decision. So it is very clearly data-driven decision, and it's automated. There are a couple of things. The benefit is it increases the lifespan of the equipment, reduces the downtime of the equipment. Obviously, it has a cascading effect across production, across quality control and procurement side, and in the sales. Basically, the industry is saying they can reduce the maintenance cost by 25 to 30%. That's what the industry guys are saying, who have implemented such basic systems in place.
Very true, Jagan. I see a lot of improvement coming up in the compliance and other areas by automating many things there. But how do you see this compared to few records in a daily production or shift-wise production, 4-5 records and 10 records? This is going to generate millions and millions of records, right, from the sensors. How do you think the industry is balancing it? Are they all putting it into cloud, and how do they manage this?
Yeah, the cloud is the only way to go ahead, because you need a lot of storage for this, because it's like an insurance, right? You need an insurance. You don't know when are you going to fall sick. So you need an insurance, because if something happens, you prevent it, right? So it's typically for industry, it's an insurance, right? You invest this and collect the data. The system can definitely alert. The cost of a downtime, the cost of a wrong batch goes to the production without getting detected. It's huge comparing to this kind of a cost that we are investing on it. And it helps, it puts all of us in a peace of mind, right? Somebody is 24 across watching the equipments, which a human eye cannot see. I mean, there was the vibration I cannot see, because I've seen plant managers who can see the sound of the machine in case something is wrong. I've seen people have like that, but now that not everybody is equipped with it. When you have multiple machines, multiple equipments, and somebody is monitoring it every minute, every second, even a vibration, temperature, sound, it shifts the whole way how we can solve problems. Yeah.
Yeah, Prapti was talking about knowledge is key, because everybody has to understand everything. It becomes training and other things becomes very important. And coming back to quality inspections and the documentations aligned with the regulations, what are some of the challenges that process manufacturers face, and how critical is it to streamline such inspection processes? Prapti can throw light on this better, I guess.
So I think it is very important that we need to streamline this. So the key complexities what we face during documentation challenges is, one is the volume, where we're talking about from a process manufacturing, from a raw material to an end product. We're talking about extensive documentation, which includes your batch records, your safety data sheets, your quality certificates, your traceability records. So managing the volumes, one is it, and multiple sites and multiple locations. So is there something where you can have like a central repository? The second basic challenge is, people keep changing across organizations. So are you going to have a person dependency when it comes to documentation driven data? So I think having a management system where, one is trying and understanding trends, understanding data driven approaches by implementing the required corrective measure should be the approach, like what Jagan was talking about. I think one such key challenge with what we face as a perishable industry is in terms of extraneous foreign matter. So can we evaluate trends by identifying what are the kind of foreign matters, what I would find with origin specific constraints, right? So can I have optical sensors? So if I'm having my optical sensor clearly connected to my cloud-based data integration system, where I can kind of understand what are the kind of insects, what are my kind of foreign objects, which I'm kind of understand. And this helps me to kind of fix the volumes or the origins, which I want to work on the frequent next years. Then second, and the key major challenge what we face is the regulatory changes. Today, we sitting in a country where, we follow US FDA guidelines, EU regulations, we are following the local regulation, and this keeps upgrading and changing. And this comes with a lot of documentation, frequent change in upgradation of your product related concerns. So I think there needs to be a robust change management system in place. So these are some of the key challenges when it comes to documentation. Again, why is it important to streamline inspection processes across the value chain? One is, at the end, all of us are looking at enhanced efficiency. Streamline inspection just not reduces the bottlenecks in production, minimize downtimes, as well as allowing a smoother workflow, in turn leading to improved compliance. Today, we all know that we're watched by the regulatory body. We are graded across based on our performance. Why not just be the top among the list? Today, competition is just waiting to catch hold of you when you are going to fail. So why don't we be making sure that we are the top notch when it comes to compliance? And then as well as reduce dependency on human errors, right? You have a reduced risk in human errors, like what Jagan was talking about. Automate the entire process, try and understand trends, try and develop more automated system or AI-based learning rather than complete dependency on human error, human-based learning, right? And this even helps us at the end, on a nutshell, better decision making. It would be more of an agile process, very quick, as well as helping to lead us into continuous improvement cycle. I think this in turn leading to a complete continuous improvement cycle is all what we look towards.
Very, very rightly said, Prapti. And finally, you nailed it. That automation is going to kind of streamline this area. So trying to correlate what the panels have been talking about, streamlining the manufacturing on the quality aspects, on the planning aspects, and on the compliance side. And automation is going to rule the streamlining part. So definitely, I would say that you all have shared your views on your specific areas. Any closing comments you want to share, Tiago and Ali, before we close the session?
I don't have any comment. I will leave it to Tiago if he has something to add.
No, me neither. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, all panelists, for the valuable contribution on your areas in the strategies relating to streamlining manufacturing. Thank you all very much.
Thank you all. Pleasure seeing all of you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Everyone.
That was a great discussion. A huge thank you to Rajesh for guiding today's conversation, and of course to our amazing panelists for their invaluable contributions. To our audience, we truly appreciate your engagement and hope today's discussion has been both insightful and enjoyable. For any unanswered questions, rest assured we'll be reaching out to you via email in the coming days. Also, be sure to check your inbox for the recording of today's session, which will be arriving in the next few hours. On behalf of Azentio and all of us here at Connect Global Group, thank you for joining us today. Wishing you all a productive and wonderful rest of your day.